for real, because I feel like I took up all of that first initial time, and I want to hear
That's
what's going
okay.
on with you also.
We'll do that then. We'll do that. Hello, everyone. We are live and back. For anyone who thought that we had stopped in my nature altogether, it is not the case. Sometimes our Sabbaths take on kind of their own shape. And so when I thought I would pause for a second, it lasted for a while and I needed every bit of it. So thank you, anyone who decides to pop in this evening to see us, to chat with us. We're really, really grateful for you. I do know that it's Labor Day weekend, so some of you all may be turning up or getting ready to. I don't know if our group who watches this still does that. I do not. I, but we just want to welcome anyone who happens to pop in this evening. With that being said, we like to be very timely, particularly because we have a teacher online today, and I like to be very conscious of Sunday evenings because I know
Mm.
how important it is to kind of regroup for the school year. So, for those who do not know me, I am Dr. Monique Williams, the founder of the Heir+Loom Foundation, and this happens to be our 21st episode and also the start of our second season with the Heir+Loom Foundation. Yes, so we're
Yes.
super
Super.
happy. It started off as what would be just a mini series, just short conversations, real quick. But I have grown to really, really enjoy these conversations and this series, and I have learned a lot. And as friends and family say they've enjoyed it as well, I thought, why not? Why not continue? So yes. So we are here a little bit, just a reminder about the story of Heir+Loom. Heir+Loom itself celebrated its first full year, so we're about a year and a half at this point.
Nice.
And we
Congratulations.
thank you, because things like this don't last long. But we started because I had a dialogue with my grandfather and really wanted to do my best to give him some reassurance that the land that him and my grandmother had purchased was on someone's mind.
Mm.
So it is on my mind. They were purchased over 50 years ago. If that's even accurate, it could be more than that for $450 and it's about 20 acres. So we want to keep our hands on that and not only hold on to it, but create purpose. In that space. So we're very excited about what will come of it. So far, we've connected with wonderful people, which I hope to actually connect with physically at some point. We have learned a lot about our land. We've had
Nice.
soil, what is it called? A soil test to learn
Hmm.
that our land is fertile and ready to go. I've talked to a lot of
Good.
people who have done retreats and trying to learn about what that can look like. So the sky is still the limit. With that being said, in my nature is just conversation with
Mm.
people who are melanated in green spaces, um, or work with or on behalf of such communities. And so I'm excited to have Beatrice back. I call her an educator extraordinaire. She's a scientist and so many other things. So I just want you to say hello, Beatrice, and let them know who you are again.
Good afternoon. My name is Beatrice, and I am the founder of Humanity's Garden, where we strive to grow the individual through mind, body, and spirit. And that is different per person, but we're open to the journey.
And we connected randomly on IG, like most conversations that happen on here, but found out that we're both bison. We're fellow bison. Yes, yes. Houstonians. So we had a lot in common. We really do intersect. So there is something to this friendship, this relationship here. And so I'm grateful for that. So Beatrice came to my mind because we were just talking about the fact that education and the state of education in our nation, if not our world, but in our nation particularly, is just very challenging. And coming from a family of educators or those who have cared for children in education, who have pursued lots of education, it's always on my mind to consider what it means for teachers
Yeah.
and students to return to that space. And so this first off is a check-in with Beatrice. She cannot speak on behalf of all the
I
teachers,
cannot. I will
but I
not.
want you to tell us a little bit about what it meant to get yourself ready to go for this new school year. Last year we were second season of COVID.
Yeah.
This
Yep.
year we've had Uvalde and the end of
Right.
COVID,
Right.
or the heavy part of it.
Right.
What has it been for you?
Um, Low column A, low column B, in
Mm-hmm.
that I was excited to go back this year, and my excitement actually surprised me.
Okay.
I personally took on some leadership role positions that I was, again, excited about, but it just means that I'm going to have been having to approach things differently in terms of strategy, in terms of my gardening. It's
Mm-hmm.
morphed a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because between the heat and this transitioning hurricane season, it's just been a lot to be in the garden. So I stepped away
Mm-hmm.
to kind of just give it some breathing space, if you will. And after this last week or so, it's been incredibly flourishing, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Um, it's been excitement and hectic at the same time. I'm excited to see these new students. They aren't as energy filled as no, they have the same energy. They
Mm-hmm.
learn how to channel their energy differently. Me and a couple educators were talking.
Yeah.
It seems as though we were kind of just getting a wild bunch last year. They
Mm-hmm.
come straight from home. God bless y'all, the parents that did stay home with your kids. But when you sent them back to us, we had to retrain them on how to be in a school, and
Wow.
that was a year-long struggle. But we did it. We did it. Coming back this year, they seem to be a lot more in tune to the structure of a school and coming in and learning the procedures and getting educated and getting the information and closing that gap. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for it. I really am
Yeah.
ready for it. But that self-care has like gotten amped up.
Yeah.
I thought I was good, but I need more. My cup needs more this year, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that that's okay. I'm feeling kind of greedy, but
Yeah.
it's okay. I can't give what I don't have. Um,
That's absolutely right.
yeah, yeah, and just connecting with other fellow educators who were back this year. It was like, man, we made it. We did it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially if I didn't take a break through COVID. I've been since the beginning of COVID through now, and just to
Mm-hmm.
see how everything has changed,
Yeah.
has been incredibly interesting.
What has the dialogue? So I also know there's this culture of this the brand new teacher that comes in, right? The ones that are recruited after so many of them, so many seasoned and I guess, I mean, like true educators who've actually
Yeah,
been in the
yeah,
trenches for a while. When they decide to
yeah,
kind of roll out, you
yeah.
have this new group of what do I call them? Bleeding hearts, right? I'm gonna go change the world real quick. And then you
Oh,
have,
okay.
and then you have the seasoned ones who are there. What's that interaction been like? Have you all seen a lot of newness in that way? And then amongst your peer group, like you said, the ones that said we survived. What's the dialogue now? What is this? What are they saying to one another? What are you saying to one another about this new year?
um, we're tired, but we're hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really discovered my own tenacity and resilience to stick with something as difficult as this journey has been. Because an educator, I came in like right before COVID, though that was year like 2 and 3 for me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was traumatic. I hate to you. Well,
Yeah.
no, it was
No.
traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
traumatic.
Yeah.
It was traumatic. But the fact that we survived it and we still here, and there was performance and there was closing of the gap, and now to see some of I still call them babies. I hate that, it's interesting, but they're graduating high school this year. They're
Yeah.
coming up on their 11th and 12th year, and I'm like,
Wow.
um, that's intrinsic, like to witness that growth. That's incredibly intrinsic. Um, as well as your growth as a teacher, your strength, the longer you're in it, I think, if you decide to still be in it,
Yeah.
is that your systems strengthen,
Yeah.
your class management strengthens, who you are as an educator strengthens,
Mhm.
which is something incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, what with new educators, man, cheers to y'all. Good luck. I
Cheers.
wish you all of the absolute best. I always tell and have told my team this year, teaching will get you in touch with it generally gets you in touch with some kind of practice. And I know that I'm not trying to give anybody's story, but
right.
your meditation, your breathing, your working out, whatever keeps you centered, it's been a conversation that I've had with certain educators that you tend to get closer to that year one, year two. And I mean, you decide to, either do it more or no by year 3, year 4. And if you're in there year 5, it's just like, you're not cruising, but you're not at that first level year stress trying to check every single last box for every single last person. And it's any job I think will take over if you let it. In education, because it's one of those, you do as we say at our campus, the hard work and the hard work at the same time. Fitting yourself in between, the heart and the help and you have to wear several different caps at one time. And that burnout is real. It is incredibly real, especially with A types. With any type, definitely, but definitely with my A type people who, look, it's just like
when you go, like when you run out,
we want it done yesterday if we can do it. Thank you.
Yes.
But learning how to, okay, I got to celebrate my progress today. I got to celebrate my students today. I celebrate the attendance of my students. Good job, y'all. Everybody's here. Good. Let's go. And you show up for them. And the students, for my students, they pull it out of you. They pull the educator out of me when they come and they're ready and they're following the procedures that I've set in place for them to be able to activate the level of TEKS and standards that we want them to have. I love it. Like somewhere along the craziness, I fell in love with it. Not in an unhealthy way, but it was just like, I like this and I'm good at it. And I'm getting more smiles and feedback from the babies. And I have parents calling me saying, thank you. Oh my God. And I'm like, it's touching home.
Yes, to the self-affirmation. Yes.
And my journey is transitioning, but right now I'm standing 10 toes down as an in-classroom educator, and I appreciate the experience.
Yeah. So you mentioned burnout and how real it is. And I think we had mentioned that last time, and it's become this huge buzzword in every industry. But if anyone's paying close attention, they know this has been a challenge in education. And so you mentioned that things have shifted with your work in the garden area. But how are you seeking nature and God right now differently than you have before?
So my outside garden, I'm allowing it to manage itself for a little bit.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yes,
like
it does.
most of my plants, I've been really focused on my indoor plants and outdoor, but in seasons. At one time I was more outdoor than indoor. One time I was more indoor than outdoor.
Yes.
During the summertime, like I said, like you down here. During the summertime, where it's transitioning from dry hot to this wet hot, and it's just like the mosquitoes out here are as big as horses, and the more rural your area, the bigger they get.
Yes.
But they have now found themselves everywhere, and it's ferocious out there. Between the wetness and the humidity and all the standing water and all of that. So I have been able to just cultivate, like literally what you see around me, just my immediate space in both my house and my classroom. Heads up, my cat might come to visit. She's like hella jealous.
That's okay. In fact, give me 30 seconds.
Oh, sure.
Okay. You said so your cat might visit?
No, she's posting up about to take a nap. I thought she was about to come down and visit, and like anything that's not fully focused on her, like she will come and make herself the center of attention and just plop down. So just heads up now in the future, whenever.
I love it.
But I've been cultivating the plants and getting to more intimate with my indoor plants. And I am definitely an overwaterer when it comes to the indoor.
Is it because you're concerned that like you're just not doing enough and so you overdo?
That or any little change. I have to get them on a feeding schedule just like I do the ones outside, because they
Yeah.
still need nutrients
Yeah.
and different levels of sunlight, and just bringing it closer in, bringing
Yeah.
more into my bedroom, bringing more into my office, maybe bringing more into
Oh,
the living
that's
room, dining
good.
room. Just like, I liked indoor plants already, and I had a few here and there, but now it's just really going to another level. Again, outside driving me in, it's been 100 something degrees almost all
Right.
summer, and then now it's just raining for like weeks at a time.
Yes.
And then I love splashing in puddles, but that only goes so far with me
Mm-hmm.
before I get wet and want to go back inside.
Well, you know what? You said something though. Let's talk about letting the garden take care of itself. And of course, you know, there's a life lesson in all of that.
Indeed,
We, if now, are you also a fellow Type A?
I am.
Okay, all right. I say I'm recovering, but you know, there's
Look,
nothing wrong
no,
with being who
yeah,
you are.
I am.
Uh,
Yeah, healing
but you
quickly,
know,
but still,
we tend to like things just so.
yeah.
um, and that can be a good thing. You know, we tend to be organizers and people who are thinking beyond the issue to try to prevent. Right, we're very preventative, and these things are good until all of a sudden we've kind of put a chokehold around whatever the progress is, because we have not allowed it to be organic or
Absolutely.
allow things to kind of go wild. It's almost
Yes,
anti us
yes,
to allow
yes,
something to go wild. And
yes.
if you find a Type A person who allows that, it's because they've grown into that. I can say I've now grown into that.
Look, hey man, you're on it. You're on it. You're on
Yeah,
it.
I
You're on it.
welcome things growing wildly and naturally. And so, one, what does that do for your garden space? Because I know that there's some benefit to that. Like, we know we weed and we prune and we do a lot to support the garden, but when we leave it alone, what does that do? Then also, has that been something that you've experienced? Are you giving yourself
Mm,
the ability to come outside of the boundary and grow wild? So that's a
mm.
two-parted question, two-part question.
I like that second part. I'm gonna start with it.
Okay.
No. And that's where I believe I'm heading toward.
Okay.
And it's a bit of a, not a pull, but just a little bit of resistance in that it's new.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to tap into my more creative side. And
Yeah.
it's just very interesting, that
Yeah.
it has such a good pull on me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really should be doing XYZ, like,
Mm-hmm.
hard body.
Yeah.
Um, but to bring it to that first point, absolutely. I find that some of my plants literally flourished when I left them alone. Be the between just the weeks of literally just the water that we've been getting in this
Mm-hmm.
area, zone 9A.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's perfect. It's like almost that Caribbean kind of, just it rains a little bit and then it pulls back a little bit of sunshine, then it rains a little bit and then pulls
Mm-hmm.
back. A couple weeks of that, my garden was like, let's go. And
Yes.
I'm seeing flowers that I've been trying to get to flourish over the last. They are just blooming and going. A couple of my lantanas, I forgot where I planted them. They're like, hey, here we are, just gorgeous.
Oh,
I went out
wow.
there this morning to just like two, three different types of bees, just this whole festive floral scene. And I'm like, this is beautiful. I didn't touch a thing. I just went out there with my little tea and I just was
Yes.
looking and I was like, you go head on, girl. You all right.
Yes.
And to
Yes.
step before that, for the summer, I just said, okay, I don't want to press anything to do anything except for the eggplant and the heat loving plants that were already prone to do something in the heat.
Okay.
But everything else, I was like, guys, just get past summer. If you could just
Yeah.
get past summer in Southern Texas right now, we can do this. And as soon as and I'm sure it's the heat is gonna come back, but I just kept it alive, kept a lot of my plants alive until the end of the hard summer. I want to
Mm-hmm.
say like July, August, and they're coming back and they're flourishing in such a way that I can already see the fall. I don't want to say the fall season coming in.
Yes.
Our fall mimics our spring. So
Right.
my eggplants are popping back up. My tomatoes are like, hey, let's get it going. And I planted like 3, 4 different types. Shout out to the roasting tomato. Yeah, I thought it was overrated. It is not. And once you grow the roasting
To the
tomato,
roasted tomato.
the paw roasting tomato, oh my god, it is like life changer,
Okay.
game changer.
We need to share
This
that.
also will never be the same. Um, but incorporating more herbs. I know that we talked about that, but incorporating more herbs and more healing and more things to cleanse. So my ginger, my turmeric, making sure those are in check. I'm going to be putting down garlic, chamomile, some teas, things for teas and aromatherapy, things to just really and try to help encourage, restore, cleanse out,
Yeah.
and replenish in the body, is what I'm going to be focused on for this fall and spring. Not so much as in, oh, just can I grow it? For a while, it was just, could I grow it? I just want to see
Right.
if I could grow it. And now it's more intentional of, okay, now I want to legit start making the aromatherapy. Well, I do the aromatherapy anyway, but like literally like right before I harvested some lemongrass, and I'm just like,
Lemongrass.
oh, just simple as that. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So I have lemongrass all over the yard. But
Well, let's talk about that. Pause right there, because the
sure.
last dialogue we had was about science. It was very,
Okay.
I mean, you were breaking down the
Was
science, yes, of planting and growth. But this now to me was a bit more holistic, homeopathic. Um, Talk about the fact. So you just harvested lemongrass.
Yes.
Let's say somebody who might find they have lemongrass in their yard or want to grow it and want to do something as simple as create some sort of essence with it. Tell us, how would you do it?
Okay. So what I literally just did, what you saw me doing, was aromatherapy for me. It
Yes.
does not have to be fancy and out of a $50, silk woven pouch and all. It really doesn't. The essential oils, I really appreciate those. I don't know how to do those.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can do, what I can do is grow lemongrass. One thing I love about lemongrass, it is so simple. It is a grass. And
Mm-hmm.
so it does still need nutrients. It does still need sunlight, but it is not as fussy as some of your other plants may
Yeah.
or may not be. Um, and literally how it's used in a lot of Asian dishes, edible, we'll get to that in a second though,
Mm-hmm.
is that you can just crush the leaf up like I just did
Mm-hmm.
and roll it up in your hand. Be
Mm-hmm.
careful because the leaves are a little, I don't want to say razory, but they're a
But
little,
little
they have an
spike,
edge to
yeah.
them to where,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, they could cut. But get it just nice and tender in your hand, just rubbing it together and just
I love that.
over your nose,
Yeah.
inhale and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And like it gives you such a burst of,
Mm-hmm.
just aromatherapy so quick. Like I love doing this through the garden with mint, with lavender, with literally sometimes even just a beautiful flower. Like I love lantana flowers.
Yeah.
They'll just render this incredible, beautiful aroma. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
just crush those up with the flowers, inhale and keep it moving. And it's what
Yeah.
I need as I walk around my garden. It gives me that refreshing, just
Yeah.
calm and peace, and just that, what you're looking for in aromatherapy,
Mm-hmm.
what I
Mm-hmm.
look for in aromatherapy.
Is this something that if you had lemongrass around your school building that you would have the kids do midday? Could they do that? Like, can they pick something, maybe right before leaving recess? If
You
they're
just gave me the idea. No, we don't, but yes, we are. Thank you.
okay.
And I'm gonna name the grass Monique. I'm gonna film it and I'm gonna send that to you. But
I
no,
love it.
like I have a lemongrass that is either we can do it or that'd be wonderful actually to have you to put that in our garden.
I would be. I'd love to do that.
Note to
Yeah.
self, we'll come back to that. We'll talk to that, but
Okay.
I would really love to be able to do that. But they need the kids that I work with. I do work at a Title I school,
Mm-hmm.
and it is predominantly I don't want to speak incorrectly, but a lot of students who have needs,
Mm-hmm.
household needs at home, and financially they have needs, and one of those needs is emotional. And some of these kids literally just need to be in a space to where they can pick some grass, rub it in their hand, and
And it's just
breathe.
part of their routine, right? So they if now what is it, elementary or middle?
Middle school, secondary, so
Middle.
they're
So do you
already.
all do any stepping out? Like, do they step out? Do they? I know it's not recess per se. Is it for middle school or
Well,
no?
that depends on the middle school. I was a part of one school that did have recess for the eighth graders, and
Mm-hmm.
then I told the eighth graders that I teach now, about that, and they were like, "What?" Like they didn't know how at the first school they didn't know how fortunate they were. I was like, "Yeah, the other schools they cut it short at elementary, baby. It's bye bye to recess time and all."
Right, right. Well,
But
any kind of stepping out and just having that aroma moment, for everybody. They can step outside, they can breathe deeply, they
yeah,
can grab some grass, do just that, but it's enough to kind of get them through that last
that moment,
half
yeah,
of the
yeah.
day.
I don't think that we do, but I do think that that is something that I would be an advocate for in the
Yeah.
future. We do have an advocacy period to where
Mm-hmm.
there is a social emotional learning aspect to the day, and they go to
Okay.
this every day. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think maybe that might be a good opportunity for me to practice that with my class, because I could even bring the lemongrass in class,
Yes. Yeah.
and have them do that. But no, that's an incredible. Let me write that down really
Yeah,
quick
write it
before
down. Oh
before
yeah.
I
Anything,
forget.
right? Anything that you can do that just feels it becomes routine for them. And it's not a
Yeah,
difficult routine. Because me not being an educator, I do not want to ever give examples of things you should do with the schedule that you already have. But just this idea that this is what we do. We pause. And it's something that you expect that they look forward to. And it's neither a reward or a consequence. It's just what we do.
it's
And I
just what
think
we
that's
do.
really important for students. Would that be a correct assumption to kind of like remove what does this mean to just what does this mean for you? We're gonna do something, it's gonna be part of our routine, but what does this mean for you?
Right.
Is an important thing. So
That's literally going to be one of the topics. Well, we have an opportunity to, because the students are able to join a garden club in which they do learn about these things. I do it sometimes and I completely forget I've even taught this. But
mhm.
we absolutely do this in garden club, to where we experience the different herbs. One of the APs, the assistant principal, was avid about us having herbs in the garden last
Uh-huh.
year. And
Okay.
we literally, some of the students found their favorite herb, and then they were challenged to create a dish from it, and we just went off by
Oh,
smells. I was like, don't worry about the name
oh,
right now, don't worry about what it takes to grow it, it's in the garden, you put it here, we got it, it's flourishing, it's doing good now at its peak performance. Let's see what you like to smell and what can you taste from that smell. And oh my
what
god, the
came of that
recipes.
conversation? I want to know what creativity it came up with.
Oh my god, we had a feast, like an absolute feast. Now some of it was just straight up comfort food, and some
Mhm.
of it was just absolutely just great, and really a healthy and alternative choice. I had one baby take the garlic chives and the pesto and a couple of other herbs and make this really nice pasta dish that was on point. Shout out to Care Bear. She know who she is. I don't want to put her name out there because she's still a minor, but oh my god, she did the darn thing. And then another one took the same garlic chives, and she was like, Miss B, we about to eat. I like cheesy bread. And sis hooked up this like 2-layer cheesy bread that was
Oh
like,
my
oh my God. It was like 2-3 cheeses, and found out she comes from a chef's family. So I was just like, oh, like dude, it was good. And we sat down at a table. We created like some kind of we created
God.
it's a Chinese style of eating, to where it's like, an Asian style of eating, to where the food is like in the middle, and you kind
Yes,
of just
family
pick the dish.
style. Oh,
Family style.
wow.
I love that. And we did that, and that was like how we took out the garden club last year. That's how we ended our note in the garden club, was just like this big feast created from the herbs in the garden. They got to explore with their families and about what they've grown, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful. I'll send you some pictures. It was a beautiful experience.
Okay, so when y'all do that again, invite me, and I'm going
Absolutely.
to come with a vegan dish. Okay,
Please.
and they're going to be shocked by it. But I want to know by the time we get to that point, you'll see what you're growing. What I'll do is I'll try to create something with several of the ingredients that you all are growing, because
Okay.
that sounds amazing. And once again, you'll have tapped into this creativity that the youth don't have a chance to really explore anymore, right? With the challenges of music and art in the education space, not seeing those things as necessities for the kids to have an outlet. And so not only are you kind of connecting what it means to put something in the ground and grow it, but then what can we do with it, right? Because I
With
think
it.
sometimes we'll throw some seeds out. It's like, oh, look at that over there. But what but what can we do,
What
right?
can we
And what
do
can
with
we
it?
create?
Right.
So I think that's an amazing, amazing thing. With that, since we're kind of right in this area with the garden club, tell me, do you have any plans for this year? What does this year look like for the gardening club?
This year looks more like we okay. This year for the garden club looks more like community involvement. Expanding to, there's a shout out to Let Us Live Urban Farm Project in Missouri City with Karina Polk. I took the previous gardening club there to get practice in a community garden as well as contribute to a community garden. They were able to get community service hours and, good internship style learning, because both she and I are master gardeners from the A&M horticultural program.
Right.
And so it was able to yield a fantastic experience that I would love to create with this year's students. So community connection would be number one. I'm expanding to the other grades and seeing what the 6th and 7th graders are coming with. Last year I was like, 8th graders only. I'm not, I can't. But
the 6th and 7th graders need you. But they're different.
Look, they are different. And once I get the 8th graders to a point where I feel like I've duplicated myself on a gardening level, at least a little bit, then I'll go ahead and open up to those 6th and 7th graders, because the 6th graders need emotional support, because they're literally transitioning also from babies to now, they're having to step it up just a little bit.
Right.
I saw a couple of boys still doing a little Naruto run. Do you know what that is, when they run with their arms behind them?
With the little like the Pokemon, the anime kind of.
Yeah,
they're gonna go out of that real quick.
Can we run? Like, sure, sweetie, go ahead. And they still do the little run with the little arms behind them like they flying, right? And I was like, no. But it's a shock coming from 5th grade to 6th grade, and then finding out what this new environment is and who you are, and recreating yourself again, and that whole transition. So they need emotional support. The 7th graders, bless their little heart, they don't know what's going on. They're not the ones leaving, and they're not coming up. So it's just like they're the middle kid, if you will, struggling to get attention one way or the other. Last year, no comment. I'm gonna stop there. But we had a large 7th grade class that was hard to wrangle, and those jokers. Wow. Oh my gosh. But beautiful kids, just a lot of energy, we had to redirect. And my 8th graders, of course, they're transitioning out. Running into some of my students over the summer, they're already like, one kid shot up 6 inches. I'm not even sure if that was like, are you human? Like, how do you do that?
They just eat and grow like plants.
Yeah, girl. and her Miss being, where did that voice come from? Where's my 8th grader? And just seeing them transition into teenagers, solid teenagers, going from that tween to a solid teenager, and all of those things. And the fact that what I teach them socially, emotionally, that socially emotional learning, that caring and compassion, that you don't have to garden to necessarily yield something. Sometimes gardening is not asking anything from you. It just wants you to be there with it. Those things that they can still use and help to get them through those dark moments that we know middle school and high schoolers have. I think that it is incredibly important that we continue to have an emotional aspect, a community service aspect, and an outreaching to more of our school community, so more of us can benefit from it. And I really would like to invite a local news anchor, but I have one specifically in mind. I want to create a garden for her. Her family has contributed, and to my family directly, but definitely to the Houston metropolitan area. I'll tell you about that later. That's a spring project. But I would love to have you there also. But definitely this particular person has impacted this school and that area, and her family has given so much that I would love for her to be there, like at a spring event that we would have on campus. So community service, more social emotional learning, and expansion throughout the school so that the entire school is welcome and to take benefits and part of what we're doing.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Now, do you mind sharing with us what creative pull you've mentioned this a few times? You've got this creative pull that you. That's okay. That you feel doesn't have anything to do with your gardening work, or would that be going in a different direction?
It does, but it's more in the writing. I've been delving deeper into curriculum and instruction with it, so that things I definitely teach already, but getting even more intentional about it, if that makes sense. Well, it does. I'm just wondering if it comes off correctly, but okay.
Yes.
Getting even more into it from the curriculum and instruction. And I've had the opportunity to have great practice with a couple of companies in town, and I'm really excited just about writing curriculum. That's good. So thank you.
And
I
that's
haven't
that's
tapped.
necessary. I think that's what we
You
don't
think?
really understand. So we all yes, because we all kind of jump into I think the active part of industry, right? So your teacher or your counselor or your nurse, and these things are excellent. But then you all gather all of this knowledge,
Right.
and you really would love to transfer that
Right.
into that next generation of experience, next generation of teachers
Exactly
and
that.
of students. Like, it's just so rich what you know.
Thank you.
And like a lot of other industries, what happens is the people who write the curriculum may not be as in touch with the work on the ground as they need to make that curriculum, make those dots connect.
Right.
So hopefully you see this as a confirmation of that, because I think that'd
Thank
be
you.
absolutely huge. Absolutely
Thank
huge.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. 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 So the last thing I want to ask you about, or the last reason why I connected with you. So I mentioned everybody. I connected with Beatrice because teachers are on my mind. Schools are on my mind. You've had a lot going on, and you mentioned that you are being more intentional and assertive as it comes to your self-care, and that
Yes.
you're realizing that you need more to do what you are doing. And for a
Yes.
second, you said something that I think that we would all identify with. You said, okay, I don't want to seem greedy. Wait, I'm not greedy. I need more to fill my cup. And that statement alone says a lot, I think, about just personal growth. Because I think many
Really?
of us, yeah, would pause and say, you know what, never mind. I don't need all of this. Let me just keep giving. And you can't give out of an empty cup. So you
Yep.
mentioned wanting to kind of either doing this or wanting to kind of dive much deeper into the self-care area in your life. So let's talk about that for a second. We'll talk
Okay.
about a couple of herbs we think everybody should kind of bring into their personal
Okay.
spaces to encourage self-care, and then that's it.
Okay. Where you want to start?
So I want to talk about the first thing that I just mentioned, how self-care, you're diving into it differently. You're needing more of it in order to thrive.
So I thought I was doing good with my exercise routine, and I went to the doctor, and they were like, "Yeah, nah, you need more."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, looking in the mirror, I'm like, I don't look like it. I thought I was holding it down. I thought I was doing all right. It was like, nah, you need more. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, no problem. And it was just between me feeling it, me literally hearing it, and me seeing that more was going on. I was literally like, I need a different set of muscles, both spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate what I've been able to accomplish thus far with people, places, and things. However, it's going to take more. It just is.
Yeah.
Everything cannot be done with my own hand. I have
Mm-hmm.
to get and master team building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the more I've been running away from leadership for so long, I ran away from leadership and education for a good solid 10 years
Mm-hmm.
and had a whole Noah moment, but we'll talk about that later. But it was just like, okay, all right, fine. Education is where you want
I'll
me.
do
All right,
it.
I'm good. Look, I'm good. All right,
Yeah.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
But taking the time out to take care of me and doing so selfishly, and sometimes it looks like deadlines have to be shifted. Sometimes it looks like, I'm sorry, but I didn't have any more for today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
Mm-hmm.
saying that, and
Yeah.
meaning, now, not as a cop out, not
Mm-hmm.
as a, every Tuesday at 4 o'clock she,
Right.
it was literally more of a, I've been down this road before
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going again, and you're not going to make me, your deadline's not going to make me, and run
Yes.
it up the pole if you need to, which is
Yes.
my saying for tell your boss, stay boss, and whoever
Right.
else needs to know.
Right.
But this is a hard line,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like I don't give a significant proportion when I'm already on deck, as you say, when it's time to go from the 9 to 5. And as we
Mm-hmm.
know, because educators, we take a lot, those the stories of trauma that we hear, we bring home. You can't not know that when you come home. You know, you cannot not hear this baby just had a baby and it
Mm-hmm.
has been up all night.
Mm-hmm.
You can't not remember those things.
Right.
But in the same time, your brain deserves a break.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind deserves a break. Your heart deserves a break. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't again, circling back, I can't give what I don't have. And I've
Yeah.
been empty before, and I'd be damned if I'm ever going back.
Yeah.
Excuse the
Yeah.
language. I'm just not.
Empty is not where you want to be.
It's not cool. And
Mm-mm.
I remember seeing some little ads that, like canceling the burnout culture. Yo, cancel it, bury it, do
Yeah.
whatever we need to do
Yeah.
with it
The
because it's
grind,
not
that
okay.
grind culture where you just burn on both ends.
Right.
No.
No. Like, and I've done that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not to say that I don't work hard because I do work hard. That's not to say that I don't care because I absolutely do care. But I've come to the point to where I have to care for me first, and that's okay with me. You
Yeah.
need to back up however you do what you do.
That's
But
good.
just like we both said this summer,
Yes.
it's like, okay, the break was supposed to last this,
Mm-hmm.
long,
Mm-hmm.
but my body, my well-being, where I was said longer.
Needed
Okay.
more. Needed
Okay.
more.
And
Yeah.
the things will still get done.
Yes.
Um, and it'll work out how it's supposed to. But I'm not about to run myself into the ground physically
Yeah.
anymore to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And that's a period, new paragraph. We can turn a page.
That's right. That's good. That's good. That's
But
good.
I loved how we were both on that same vibe this
We
summer. Just
were.
like,
Yeah.
I need to
We're done
rest.
with that.
Yeah, we're done.
We're
And
done
it's
with that.
nothing else. It's nothing toward anybody. I appreciate what I do, and there is a time to grind. There is a
Mm-hmm.
time to burn a midnight oil.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time to grind. There's a time to get it done. But just as you do that, know that there's also a time to rebalance it. And hey, sometimes nothing.
Yes.
I remember I spent one weekend, the first weekend out of the school year, and I slept most of the weekend, and I just needed, and I felt like it's this. I got to do something. I'm not really
Right.
just all I'm doing is resting. I can't. It got to be
Right.
something else I can
Right.
be doing. And my body was just like, you can if
Just
you want to, but
would
I have
not allow
to.
it. But going back to our theme, letting the garden care for itself. Because our bodies restore themselves when we give it what we need. Our minds do it. And for some reason, we try to put them on a deadline. We try to create a particular structure, but sometimes it breaks from that and says no. And we have to listen to that hard no. And that's a good thing. When we learn to hear that and respond to it, I think we've arrived to a certain level
We do. And the
of
fact that I went
self-understanding.
hmm
Go ahead.
no, the fact that I went into my garden and it was just as beautiful as ever.
Yeah.
Just as wild and just as free. Now the mosquitoes are having a ball, but so are the bees, and so are the
Yes.
dragonflies, and so are
Yes.
the birds, and so it's a part of the ecosystem. And it was, I like little offbeat paths in botanical gardens in the wild and
Yes.
things like that. So going into my own garden for it to be like this little mini fern gully, experience,
Yes.
I was
Fern
just taken
Gully.
aback. I was taken aback,
That's
and
beautiful.
it reminded me of just like the hills in Jamaica or just the
Mm-hmm.
side of the street, because they have tropicals just like lining the streets.
Yes.
It felt beautiful, and I was like, okay, y'all do what y'all need to do.
This
I'll do
is
it,
good.
and they were okay. My plants were okay.
Yeah.
Like I had a couple pomegranates on the ground. A couple had rotted. Okay,
Yeah.
but I got one huge, beautiful one that literally took up for those 3 or 4 that didn't make it. And sometimes the gardening is like that.
Yeah.
But enjoying the bounty that was, but not forcing it.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoying the flowers that were, but not necessarily cultivating them.
Right.
They came as a result of the rain.
That's good.
And sometimes the best part of cultivation is stepping back and seeing what nature does. It's like, okay, you set the systems in place, but nature's back. Let me show you what I got. Let me show you what I got.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I come back in 6 weeks later just amazed. Like, okay, well, show me something.
I love it.
So I look forward to going back in the garden, but at an appropriate time.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I am focused on myself,
Mm-hmm.
my students,
Mm-hmm.
and my immediate, plants that I can actually get to and touch, because that teacher life is a beast. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And outdoor gardening can be a bit taxing. Working,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 10, 11 hours at work, and then coming
Right.
home and then tending to a garden. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I can enjoy the scents and smells that I can create in my house, and still move forward and know that my garden is gonna be okay. And whatever doesn't survive, cycle of life, it doesn't
Right.
survive. Long as
It becomes compost. It goes back to the earth, and that's equally as imperative. So,
exactly.
Okay.
So you never lost. Nothing is lost.
That's right. That's right. So if you were to create an herbal tincture for teachers,
An herbal who?
tincture, like a little, like if you pick 3 herbs and you put them like maybe like a little tea bag, so they could like steep it for aromatherapy or for something like that. Yes, 3 herbs. What would you put in this tincture?
Easy
For
as
teachers.
For teachers, no, like where you're going is crazy with that, because I have that written down specifically. I would probably talk to the teacher and see what kind of smells they appreciate, because some people like the smell of mint, some people it makes them gag. I love mint-based aromatherapy. I love lemongrass. I would probably do a lemongrass and mint. Maybe just a touch of cinnamon, just to kind of scent it and set it off. I would love a lemongrass and lavender one. Just to kind of give you that, the calm with a cool to, like, I don't know if you've never smelled lemongrass and lavender, it's hard to explain to you, but those two scents together I really and truly appreciate. And then just one straight up potent of what they like,
specifically for them,
like specifically for them. So if you like the lemongrass, it would literally just be like all lemongrass and you just get a burst of that, or all mint or a burst of that. But I think I really do think I would mix like a chocolate mint, a lemongrass. I would just keep it simple. Those two, maybe a little bit of honey, maybe a little bit of lemon, but that tea that was perfect. That would be one. The second one, of course, I have affinity for lemongrass. I just do. I can't apologize.
That's okay. Don't.
It reminds me of the island. I love lemons. I love it in my Asian foods. It's wonderful.
Yes.
But it would have to be lemongrass and maybe a chamomile. Something both for aroma and you're calming your nerves down, and something literally just nerve based to kind of just bring it down. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, I'm not a cook, I'm not any of those things, full disclosure, but I do love the combined sensations and benefits that fresh lemongrass and chamomile give me. And I think especially during testing times, during when grades are due, those really intense, potent, stressful times, like just something to be able to say, okay, deep breath in, deep breath out, body heal, restore, let's go. Let's give me that short bit of rest to be able to push through what I need to do and get on the other side of that task. But
that's good. That's
wishing
good.
Peace and mental health, wellness for like all of my teachers, everyone.
Right now, educators are on our mind, and so that is good. So, as we did last time, we're going to end with a joint affirmation.
Don't knock over the camera, please. Thank you.
And I'll read my statement, and you just fill it in with one word. Your cat.
She is. Come here, baby. Don't do that.
He's like, okay, this has gone way too long without any attention.
For real. No, okay. One thing I do want to mention though, lemongrass is, I don't know about anybody else's cat, it's a little bit toxic. It makes her, she loves it. Like she loves, stop it. Stop, precious. Stop. Stop it. Sorry. She loves to eat it, but it makes her throw up.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go on the toxic side of it. Like anytime I bring it in the house, I have to arrange it to where she doesn't, just stop it, have access to it. Come here.
She's clearly attracted to it. So.
Come here. No, she is. She really, really is. Like the way she goes for it is crazy, almost like catnip. And it makes her throw up. And so it's weird. It's like, stop it. Come here.
So, okay. So we had the affirmation, like I said, just completed with a short word, a word or a short statement. Okay. And it's different from the last time. So, because your first time, this is the first time we're doing a different affirmations because you're a repeat. All right. It is in my nature to stay blank. To stay.
Seeing beauty in things.
To go.
To beautiful.
To move.
Forward.
To hold.
To hold. Literally as we speak, my cat.
Yeah, I love it. What's her name?
Precious. She come here. No, you want to be on camera? Come here.
Oh,
Come
that's
here.
pretty. She's pretty.
Thank you.
To encourage.
Uh, myself and others.
To challenge.
Myself and others.
Yes. And to manifest.
Mm. Dot dot dot. I'm still working on
That,
it.
and that is perfectly fine to say, still working on that. Okay. Well, Beatrice, I thank you again for being a repeat guest. The next time you see us, you all, our audience, we're going to find a pumpkin patch or some apples to pick or something. I don't know what we have in Texas. We're going to find it. So next time you see us, we'll just be waving the camera and doing something fun. But I do wish all educators and all people involved in education a very successful year, of a new feeling of fulfillment, redefining of success, so they can run it down and really kind of gain that victory feeling that I think people may have had their first year in school when that first student said you've made a difference. And so I hope that they can experience that, and then students can receive your best, because that's what you're giving. And so I do certainly hope that. And I certainly hope for you that you continue to stay seeing beauty in things and go too beautiful and moving forward and holding precious and encouraging and challenging yourself and others and manifesting whatever it is that's coming from you, coming forth, coming to you in the best way possible.
Thank you so very much. I receive and send the same blessings back to you in your way.
Thank you.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us this evening. We do have this, it streams on Facebook on both my personal and the Heirloom page. It's because you can actually, when you see it on my page, either of them, you can share it to yours. So feel free to do that. And also on YouTube. And so we will continue having these conversations until I feel the spirit saying otherwise, because I do feel like they are rich and they are wonderful. So go to our Instagrams at the Heirloom Foundation or at Humanities Garden. Feel free to follow us and support us in any way possible. And hopefully you'll see some collaboration this year between both of these spaces as we try our best to make an impact in the world.
Amen.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.